Maybe it seems like a deep, dark night, but follow me outside into the moonlight. Hello, this is Moonlight, a Wild Rose Moon production. I'm your host, John Baylor, and we're here tonight with Pam Gunterman. This is our third episode with Pam. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you also to our sponsors, Gibson Insurance and the Gibson Foundation, the Marshall County Community Foundation, and Marshall County Tourism. We wouldn't be able to do this without you, so very much appreciate your support. We've looked at a couple of your poems, Pam, and we also mentioned this production Layers that you were a part of here, a performance that took place at Wild Rose Moon. Pam's poetry was featured, and the theme for this collection, Seasons of the Heart, became kind of a centerpiece that guided the whole concept behind the production. But I also wanted to mention we plugged it, but we didn't tell people where they could find it. And if you're interested in checking that out, that's on YouTube. Our channel is Wild Rose Moon Media, so you can look for Layers on there. You can this program, you'll see original dance choreography, original music, original poetry, original artwork of all kinds, and I'm sure it's something that you'll enjoy. Again, that's on Wild Rose Moon Media. That's the channel on YouTube. So check that one out. We've got a couple other poems that we're going to take a look at today from this collection, Seasons of the Heart. And these are, I'm going to set these up before we dive into them. I asked Pam if we could group these ones together, and the reason is because both of these are very interested in this idea of recognition, and in some ways in the consequences of receiving recognition. I think both of them really, in a way, are interested in different consequences of recognition. And anybody who's an artist has, you might say, like, their benevolent motives. I want to inspire people. I want to lift people up. The good things that I see, I want to share those with other people. And then I think any artist also has this, man, I really want people to be impressed with what I do and what I've come up with. And so these are a couple of poems that both sort of explore that topic. And I'll let you pick which one of those two you wanted to look at first, which one you wanted to start with. Let us know what the poem is, and then jump in when you're ready.
This one is titled A Chance. Smiling at the thought of being the one chosen from all the rest. This satisfaction is short-lived as reality looms heavy. When honor is bestowed, responsibility is its companion. Panic sets in and fear overwhelms. What were they thinking? At last, confusion clears, and a calm terror pushes you forward to complete the project, and you breathe a sigh of relief.
What's the autobiography behind this one? You're receiving some kind of recognition. You're anxious about it, but in your life, what was that recognition?
Every single play, musical, anything that I've ever auditioned for, I would do my very best and be very hopeful and hope that I got what I wanted. And when I did, I was excited, and then I realized I got it, and now I've got to live up to that audition that got me this part. That is always a fear. And I always think, what the heck were these people thinking? They picked me. And once you get down to business and you rehearse and you hone the part and you learn it, you breathe that sigh of relief. But for me, that panic sets in every single time. And mostly right before that spotlight hits that first night, it's there again.
I was curious about the sigh of relief. I'll go ahead and read that last stanza again. At last confusion clears and a calm terror pushes you forward to complete the project, and you breathe a sigh of relief. And just the fact that that was all one sentence and one thought, the sigh of relief is part of the same idea as a calm terror pushes you forward. I was curious to know if the sigh of relief was when things are finished, you don't have to worry about it, or if the sigh of relief, I kind of felt like maybe the sigh of relief is just the fact that now you've got something pushing you forward. Even if it's terror, calm terror, there's a relief, and now we're in this project.
It's partly that, and it's partly that you get those first words out, and you know you're going to be okay. Because getting those first words out sometimes are the hardest. Those first notes, those first steps. Once you get started, you're going to be okay. But the stage fright or the panic that hits before can be paralyzing and blocks those words.
Now, you've had a lot of stage experience. We mentioned several theaters that you were involved in, but you'd said that, when I don't think I mentioned this in my first introduction, that you not only had acted and done other behind-the-scenes set crew kind of work, but you've directed plays as well. But I guess I'm specifically interested in the time when you're the one up in front of the whole audience out there. Is that something that's changed over time, or is that terror a constant companion every time you get a new part?
It's a constant companion. Just because you can do something once and do it well doesn't mean you can do it always to that level. And so you need to make sure that you continue to push yourself to do whatever it is you're called to do the best that you can do it. And I think that's, as human beings, that you can't relax and say, I got this, I'm on cruise control. Because theater is live. And every night there's somebody different out there wanting to hear what you have to say, expecting something from you, and it is your responsibility to deliver that. And that will never change, so that's constant.
Is that that calm terror, is that a positive force then?
Definitely. The adrenaline that builds up with that terror is what gives you that edge to do the best that you can do, to make everything new and exciting each time for everyone there, even if you've done it 100 times.
I mentioned a personal story just to see the same phenomenon outside of the arts. I took a job as a teacher, and one of the older teachers that worked at the school, actually he was a retired teacher, but he made it a point to approach me and to say, I always got nervous before the first day of class. I was always so nervous, and I did this, 50 years or however long he'd been in the business, and he kind of expressed that idea that that was a sign that he cared and he was ready to take on the challenges of the new year, and that the butterflies and all that anxiety was something that he sort of cherished as part of the whole cycle. One of those seasons that you go through over and over again, and it's like a sign of life that you run into it every time. If you have other words you'd like to say on that poem, then feel free. I don't want to cut off. I want to get to the other poem, but I don't want to cut off if there's anything else that.
No, I think that we've covered it pretty well. It's just something that comes back, just like the seasons, that fear, that exhilaration.
And I mentioned I lumped both of these together because there's this question about recognition in both of these poems. And in this one, the consequences of recognition are, oh no, now that I've been recognized, I have to rise to the challenge. People wanted me to do this job, so now I actually have to do it. This other poem, I think, also deals with recognition and has a different set of consequences that go along with it. This is called My Search.
My search. I sat and pondered what it was I could do to show that I was special and deserved a look or two. I racked my brain for what seemed like forever, and even consulted Webster's for a definition clever. My quest eluded me as I looked for something new and bolder. It was then that I began to see that talent lies in the eye of the beholder. There are those with the ability to play an instrument or sing or dance, but if I'm expected to be one of those, I don't stand a chance. Alone, my search had reached a dead end. So I widened my circle, asking each family member, teacher, boss, and friend. The answers were many and provided me food for thought, but it seemed deeper I needed to reach. My friend said that it was my listening ability, while my teacher said she saw good study habits in me. My boss noted that my taking and filling orders was great, and my parents said that as a daughter I'd rate. I feared in the spotlight I'd grow colder. It became even clearer that talent lies in the eyes of the beholder. At last, an answer I did find, but more importantly, I learned the lesson that each of us are given talents we should see as a blessing. You may not be a dancer or possess a beautiful voice, and the talents you are given may not be of your choice. I'm going to stop here with the poem. This particular poem is the only one in this collection that was written actually for someone else and for a specific thing. This was written for a young woman who was going to participate in a scholarship program and needed a talent to participate. And she told me she had none. And so we sat down and we talked. So this poem is the culmination of my discussions with her and the job that she did in her life. And ultimately, it was what she performed for her talent. This is the only one of these poems that is not personally about me or about my life. And it has a great significance and comes to mind every time I see this young lady who's now a grown woman and has children. And so this one was very, very special in a much different way than anything else that's in this collection.
Or are you reading the last couple stanzas on there?
I'll just skip those for now if that's okay.
Oh, that's okay. I was that'll change my direction.
Well,
of the
you can go ahead
conversation,
and
but,
ask me a question
well,
about it.
I
That's
actually
fine.
have them here on my phone, so
Okay.
I might catch you by surprise later.
Okay, that's fine.
But actually, there is. I'm not reading that. I'm not going to go to the surprise ending just yet. But there is one other thing I wanted to take a look at. No, actually, I'll pause and just riff off of what you said there. This is, you said, the one poem that wasn't about you, and yeah, it's the one that you got to the end of, and you wanted to explain why it was special. And it's something. I mean, it feels. I don't know if it's fair to say that this resonates more with you than some of the other poems, but it seemed like you felt more compelled to say that this one resonates than you did with some of the others.
It has a different personal feel, while the others, a lot of them are about me or my family or my personal experience. This is about my experience helping somebody else. And a lot of times we don't get the chance to see that in action. We may attempt to help people or try to inspire people, but when you see it come to fruition, it does have a different feel to it. And this definitely is something this young woman wanted to participate in, but she said, I just can't do it. I have nothing. And she did a fabulous job with this, and she made it come to life. And so that it did have a different effect on me.
Yeah. I think in any kind of art form, there's a tension between self-expression and art that you do for your own sake and connecting with other people. And I feel like I'm always fighting against it. I don't want to be like so much self-expression because I feel like the purpose of art is that connection with other people. And like I try to prioritize that because if it's not connecting with other people, then I mean, I could just be, mowing the yard and, whatever. There's other things that I could be doing besides making art. But I found it interesting that this is a piece that in its content and its subject matter, it's about a connection to another person. And I mean, it's not as personal, but there's an element of self-expression because that is your connection. That's a person that matters to you. Not just some random person that you are like people watching or something like that, but somebody that matters to you. And that seems like it's one that has a very special meaning to you.
Definitely it does.
I will jump ahead with the line I wanted to reference, just since I set this up with recognition, then I want to deal with that a little bit before we wrap this up. But after the stanza that mentions friends and teachers and bosses and parents all noticing different things about this person and saying, man, you do such a great job at this, there's this line, I feared in the spotlight, I grow colder. What is it about being in the spotlight, or in this case, it's praise coming from other people, but there's something in the praise itself that seems like it shrinks the person. Why does the praise have that effect?
Because even though someone else has a high opinion of you, we're back to that opinion of ourselves. And if we don't think we are enough or have enough or can be enough, then in the spotlight we'll shrink and we'll be terrified.
In one of our poems we looked at in an earlier episode, Return, it's like the truth or the direction in your life comes when you look in the mirror and you see yourself. And I mean, maybe that's the same theme that comes across here, that when this person's in the spotlight, when they're receiving praise, they're hearing what other people are saying, but they're still not able to see themselves. Even though those other people are trying to reflect them back to it, that they're not in touch with themselves through it all.
They're filtering all the compliments through their own fear and fear of being inadequate. And that's a lesson we probably takes years to learn, and hopefully we all get there at some point in our life. I'm still on that journey.
Okay, well, I think we're going to need to wrap it up. I won't go on with my other. Really wanted to deal with your ending on that, but I guess when it's ready, then we can deal with it. But thanks again, Pam, for joining us. Thanks again to Gibson Insurance and the Gibson Foundation, Marshall County Community Foundation, and Marshall County Tourism for making this program possible. Thank you to Ryan Meir for all the magic that you work in the background. Thank you to Katie Smith for your research, your hard work on this episode as well. And we hope to see you again next time. We got another episode coming up, one more with Pam Gunterman, so make sure to keep checking us out. Maybe it seems like a deep dark night. But follow me outside.